It's got nothing to do with any kind of. Right.
I'm so mean, everybody just so, this is an engineer. I'm very happy to meet you, I'm trying to you, but I don't know if that's proper. Won't bother me if it doesn't bother you.
They found theirs, to say that, and then there were two letters that almost lost them. Yeah, the defense decided to show up. They didn't show up the other day. They look like they are in a rebuilding stage emotionally and physically. No, but they are. But now it's well, there's that. You know, but these individuals obviously have.
Okay, well, we won't overwhelm you.
The neighbors.
I've written off this year.
I was getting ready to call you to see where he was at.
Well, yes and no.
You need that? Yeah, pumpkin. What happened to her? I think it'd be close to due date the 11th. I can't believe you didn't come. I know. I did that about my second actually.
What's up, man? How you doing? All right. Y'all got a job, man? Hey, I was looking for you up there.
I haven't gotten, but I'll.
All right. I'd like to. All right. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge and invocation.
Let us pray, please. Lord God in heaven above, as we're gathered here tonight to discuss the business of the city of Ocean Springs, allow us to make good decisions that benefit all our citizens and move this great city forward. Father, as the approaching local, state, and national elections are about to happen, we ask that all people vote. We ask that all individuals, all people, keep in mind some of your tenets of unity, peace, and democracy. God be with us. God bless us all. For all these things we ask in your holy name.
motion.
Make a motion to accept the agenda and the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
All right, motion by Mr. Hempy, second by Mr. Cogs, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's see, we've got some public hearings, so let's jump right into that. Carolyn, it's your show, so.
Make a motion to go into public hearing on revising the UDC.
Motion by Mr. Hempy, second by Mr. Cogs, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Well, the first one is the amendment to the tree ordinance to take out the bald cypress and the sycamore as protected trees. What you have in front of you is, we brought that through the planning commission because it is part of the UDC, so it has to go through the planning commission as a public hearing. And what you have in front of you is the planning commission's determination that they did not support the amendment to the UDC. Primarily, their reason being is they didn't receive a justification for it that they that they could receive. So the ordinance is drafted in front of you, and during the public hearing, we did receive comments from our city engineer that, yes, the problem with cypress is that it does threaten the underground infrastructure. They did not feel that that was reason enough to take it out of the protected status, because we could always remove it if it was removed, if it was damaging infrastructure. So they are, now it's presented to you for the same thing, for public hearing, for you to make a determination.
If there's anyone who would like to speak either for or against the proposed amendment, you can come to the podium now. All right, and seeing no input, come out of public.
Make a motion to come out of public.
Second.
All right, motion to come out of public hearing by Mr. Hempy, second by Mr. Aldermen. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Motion or
Well,
discussion on this?
Before we make a motion, one of the things is that I particularly brought up the Cypress Tree because I've dealt with the Cypress Tree probably 3 or 4 times where it's not really an infrastructure problem. Where with the city, it's in people's yards where they can't cut grass or they become trip hazards, and the cypress knuckles are very invasive in the yard, and they just, it just comes down to the point to where we send our building official out there to look at it, and if it's not hindering the foundation, then he makes a call on what he feels is right for the foundation, for the structure of the house. But when it comes to other things like in yards cutting grass, I don't like going over to having an appeal and overturning some of our personnel consensus of something like that. And I don't think the cypress tree is an endangered tree. I don't think that that everybody's going to go out and cut their cypress trees down if we change this. I just think that this is going to give people the opportunity to own their property to deal with a nuisance tree like that.
All in favor? All leaves?
There's a motion to approve.
Well, I can say this too, we just spoke on the cypress, I'll speak on the sycamore, I have 3 in my yard, I have no intentions of cutting, I'm not gonna cut them. But they are nuisance, I deal with leaves that big 9 months out of the year. But it's something that I plan to deal with, I'm not gonna run out and cut them down because of this, because they provide good shade. Somebody, Rick, I don't think anybody's gonna run out and just start arbitrarily cutting trees down, unless they become a nuisance or a problem. I think that's the reason this was brought up. You and I discussed it. That's pretty much why we're here.
All right, so is there a motion to approve item A on public hearing?
I make a motion to approve item A.
All right, motion by Mr. Aldermen,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Bellman. further discussion? All right, we'll need a roll call vote. So-
Aye.
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 Motion passes.
And that'll be effective in 30 days after we have.
You put unanimous.
Well, if you don't have any.
Oh, this one's, okay.
All right, item B, Carolyn.
So I make a motion to go into public hearing on the sketch plat approval for Savannah State subdivision.
Second.
Mr. Henry, second by Mr. Blackman, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion
Even though I don't usually have trouble being heard in the room, I know Vicki will be upset if she can't hear me for the recording, so I'll explain. Okay. What you have, this is the Savannah Estate subdivision. It actually was on your agenda before, but then it was deferred and then postponed while the applicant went back and redeveloped it based on the comments that were received. So this is on the corner of, southwest corner of Riley and Old CCC Camp. And it has changed, one of the issues that they did change in this redesign is there are no longer multiple multiple driveways on each road. There is one entry on each road with a circular drive in the middle. The change is that there are what they have described as pocket neighborhoods or non-standard roadways that have hammerheads at the end to accommodate the houses, with the front yards facing each other and counting as the green space. I would also like to note that this is also going through the Corps, that we don't have their permits yet, so that could be a factor on the project of moving forward. There are at least 2 items listed that would have to be waivers that do not meet the code. Per the code, that you can grant specific waivers if you find that they are appropriate and acceptable. Other than those waivers, it meets the requirements for the sketch plat phase. There are other items that will be addressed when you get to preliminary plat, which are typical in that phase. One of which being the non-standard roads, whether or not they would be public or private infrastructure. That would be determined during preliminary plat once more details are received. So just kind of in short, what you have in front of you is 113 lot subdivision that requires 2 waivers to be approved for sketch plat. And the Planning Commission did vote that those waivers were acceptable and that it met sketch plat for that purpose.
One thing I want to point out about that vote, though, is there was 1 recusal, 1 member voting no, 2 members absent, so the 3 remaining, they did vote yes, but there's a majority that weren't. They didn't necessarily vote against it, but there was 4 of the 7 did not, 1 voted no, and the other 3 did not participate.
And the abstention was actually their engineer, so he is here tonight if you have any questions for him.
Andy, you're the engineer? I'm the engineer. Sorry, Rob.
All right, if there's anybody who would like to speak either for or against item B, you can come to the podium now.
Andy Phelan, Pickering Engineering, 126 Rue Magnolia in Biloxi. We're the engineer. Kenneth Jones, the developer, is actually on his way. I don't know if y'all would want to postpone this to make it the last public hearing for him to have a chance. He got stuck in traffic, but I can talk or answer questions. Like Carolyn said, sketch plat phase right now. We're looking, kind of modeling this a little bit after Florence Garden in Gulfport. If anybody's been over there, they have a similar alley structure. They have a few more homes on there, which is why we have turnarounds at the end for fire access. We have a lot of things, such as the core permit that Carolyn mentioned, to work out in the preliminary plat phase. Drainage is going to be fine, but I think doable. So we are currently working on that. So we definitely have a lot of coordination issues with the city as we move forward, a lot of drainage issues, utility issues, but just looking at it from a sketch plat phase, they're just looking to get these homes. It's going to be we're actually developing a new model for these cottages. They're going to be a little bit bit smaller than the typical Ellie homes, but still around 2,000 square feet, with kind of a New Orleans style front porch, balcony on the top, kind of low to.
What's the average price point, you know?
Yeah, Kenneth said they would probably start around 200,000. Whereas most of their homes would be in the 250 to 300 start.
That's his My Cottage brand that he's put there.
Yeah, so they have 1 or 2 footprints that they already have under that, but they're actually looking to develop several more of those. They have 2 or 3 of these developments already kind of out, not like this would be the first one that they do these pocket neighborhoods.
Yeah, kind of scattered.
So y'all, probably in your reports, you have our sketch plat itself. You'll see at the bottom kind of how it would lay out. There's a kind of landscape area in the middle of them that would serve kind of a double, an aesthetic purpose, but also an engineering purpose to help filter out all the contaminants and stormwater, trying to get away from a real traditional concrete pipe everything and let everything go everywhere. So low impact development is going to be a big thing on here. Heavy landscaping, and I believe park area is at 44% as designed right now, whereas 20% is required, somewhere in there. So close to doubling the amount of green and open space that they'd be required to have on here. I know it looks like a lot of lots, it kind of is a lot of lots, but definitely trying to design without lower impact.
I've got a question.
So you mentioned the drainage was going to be kind of fun to design. Looks like you got retention to the south. So everything will pipe to there, and then I'm assuming where's the outfall for the retention?
All right, so right now, as is, everything more or less goes from northeast to southwest on the property. Now, there are 2, maybe 3 contours on this property. There's not a lot of fall. You have your riprap ditch in the southwest corner that goes southerly. Our intent would be, yeah, you go.
I mean, it'll be on the next page after this sketch.
So I actually just kind of finished my very preliminary idea on drainage today, so it's fresh on my mind. While she's looking for it, so the plan would be to extend y'all's ditch, give y'all an easement on the back side of the west property line, and extend that ditch more or less in its current configuration, same size, same slope, same everything we can get. The detention pond is probably going to have a high point in the middle of it, going east to west. And so the west half of the pond will go, and we'll have to kind of have a splitter box, I'll get into that later. But the west side would go to that new ditch that we're doing, the right side would go to the existing Riley Road ditch, but at the southeast corner of that ditch.
Andy, that drainage will eventually go to Davis, about where you go
Both
south.
of those go to Davis Pike.
Both of them go to Davis Pike.
Yes. And then as far as piping, honestly, we're trying to eliminate piping as much as possible by having those center lanes left out. So, and this is preliminary plat, I know, but just, our thought is you'll have one kind of trunk pipe conveyance through the middle, and then the 2 on the sides will, or I'm sorry, the south half, all of those center islands will kind of direct discharge into the pond.
So you're going to just slope the property drain to the detention area.
Through the detention area. Everything will go more or less to there.
You're going to do that with only about 3 contours of the property?
Well, we're gonna do some cutting and shifting. So I mean, you have a flat property. We're hoping to dig enough out of the pond to build up some more. I think they'll have to have some more soils as well. I thought I just saw people walking in. So if you got any questions for somebody who's wondering me, but yeah, so that would be the intent.
You're the engineer.
I've been there smart. You hear that?
I have a question. So that's a drainage ditch on the very back side? Is that gonna go all the way down? Is all the water gonna hit that bottom flat looking thing?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the west
It's
side.
going to go, half of it's going to go east and half of it's going to go west.
Because that's probably my property right next to where
Alan doesn't look too far away.
just trying to make
So,
sure something going wrong.
Have you done calculations on the existing ditches for this additional runoff to ensure?
Well,
Do we have any capacity issues, I guess is what I'm asking for either side?
I know we have, well, from what Alan's told us, we have capacity issues on the old CCC, Camp, and Riley roadside ditches. So our intent is gonna be to actually kind of pull a lot of that drainage out of those and shift it to our pond and then put it into a detention area. we're gonna have a very thorough drainage study and report that we'll produce, with the intention of showing that we are actually decreasing the debris by a marginal amount. So we're very sensitive to that, and, doesn't matter if we are or aren't, we wouldn't have to get over our heads.
I have a question, this might be a Kenneth question, or you can answer it, but are y'all planning, or is this subdivision plan to convey the streets over to the city, or is this something that the subdivision is gonna always maintain?
Convey.
The intent is to convey. A lot of that will depend on, when we get to preliminary plat. There are some other, there's some other information that will be provided, and then Public Works will be able to make that recommendation on whether or not that we should accept them as public.
Alleys are all
Because they are
asphalt too?
non-standard.
Alleys are asphalt as well?
Yes.
So no concrete drives, all asphalt, correct? All right, so yeah, that's gonna be an issue that we're gonna have to address. We're gonna have to make sure compaction, import fill, make sure it's all proper before we agree to accept the roadways.
And those are some more details that we don't have now. So because it is non-standard, it's not easy to say, yes, we expect that we will be able to. So it's just not something that we could state at this time. But as long as they can make all the information work and the details fall into place, then yes, they would probably be able to have that comfort level. But right now, because it is not it's a 20-foot strip of pavement, and typically we would have 50-foot right-of-way to be able to work on the utilities and whatnot. And since we're not gonna have that in this plan, there's the other details have to fall into place before they can say definitively, yes, this can all be taken as public. So that's just, we don't have enough information at this point to be able to say that.
But absolutely, we want it to be conveyed. I mean, it really doesn't work with keeping it private. So the plan is to have the 20-foot right of way and then 10-foot easements on each side for utilities. It'll still allow Public Works to work outside of the street. The water and sewer won't be under the street.
Right.
Be in a separate easement, but it'll allow it to be part of the property and the setbacks.
Are these setbacks gonna be like what Florence Gardens have, where the steps come down on the sidewalks?
Well, we don't have that detail yet, but that would be another waiver. I mean, we do have provisions for how close they can come to the property line. So that's, this being a little different, and because it's not a standard right of way, it's difficult to answer that, but.
I guess they would not go into, so the way that is, basically, and I have a slideshow with, like, kind of show you all a little bit better how Florence Gardens and stuff works as well, but the back of the houses is where the alley is. So there's still a 20-foot setback, which is a lot more than Florence Gardens, but it's a 20-foot setback from the alley to the house. So from that rear of house to rear of house is 60 feet.
And what about the front?
The front is the green space that backs up against each other.
And then in between house to house in the front, there's 80 foot separation, but it is part of the lot, so it'll be common area, maintained by the HOA with drainage and everything else in there. There'll be a sidewalk that'll go right at the person's fence, like kind of where, like Florence Gardens where the steps come on, but all that'll be common, like a common private, kept up as part of the HOA.
Okay.
So it's a lot of additional green space. I counted it out today. Actually, the amount of green space, if you include this common areas in the front and the right of ways, the green space in the back, the detention pond, everything, is about 43% of the site. So it's a lot of green space, more than what it looks on there, just because there is a lot of lots, but trying to do things a lot more differently with this pocket neighborhood things, create things that are walkable, community that's walkable, not just for cars and trucks, but just really kind of trying to make the alleyways for residents. Kind of like to do something, maybe even a strip of like something just to differentiate, like, hey, people don't drive back here, this is for residents. And just make it more of a common area for the whole thing.
Is that storm drain that goes to the dead center, north to south? It will be, it's unclear on
Yeah, they'll be on opposite sides of the road, so we're currently working with James on the lift station that's up in that corner. Just
So
make sure
everything's
it's
gonna go to the northwest.
yeah, the sewer will come to here. In fact, I believe, and Ellen may know better than me, but I think even this manhole here goes all the way around, right? So I mean, even if we came out the east, we would still be going to the northwest to the same too.
Would you possibly split it, doing some to that manhole and some of that lift station?
I think we probably would. No, we're not that far yet, but just, it would seem like we would have that. And then water, as far as water, we'll, make a connection there and then on LCC, so we're kind of looped in.
So you have a system through there.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll probably end up with, dead end runs down each alley with a fire hydrant.
You run like auto turn for these cameras to make sure fire trucks out.
Yeah, they're designed for the NFIB, and we can face on. Actually, I think right now we get all the turn orders. So
Definitely like school buses, fire trucks.
yeah, we can do all that.
I think fire department already looked at it.
Yeah, I was fixing that.
65, 120, I think.
You good with that turn phrase?
Yeah, we'll be fine.
You're good with those turnarounds?
All right. I appreciate the desire for all the green space, but with the 43% being green space, could not a portion of that be used to eliminate the need for this waiver on the requirement for the streets and right of way? I mean, that. What?
So, part of it, Mr. MP, is just the fact of, like, if you look at Florence Gardens, and I kind of have a video too, but if you drive out there, their right of way in the back of their alleys is 35 feet. And they basically have 0-foot setbacks on each side. So we extended that a little bit more, but still to get, instead of this huge expanse, so you have a 50-foot right of way, and then you'd have 20 foot on one side to a house and 20 foot on one side to a house to a garage. So you have this huge open area. This makes it look a little bit tighter, a little bit more inviting, and a little bit more residential than a huge expanse. I mean, if we could get a waiver on the, I would be definitely willing to expand the right of way if we could get a waiver on the setback from our lot. You know, but I was trying to keep the lot setback in the rear at 20 feet because he's basically a common area, and then minimize the amount of right of way, but give Public Works additional 10 feet. So basically, they're going to have a 45-foot right of way, if you will, instead of 50. We'll have a 25-foot right of way and 10 foot on each side for utilities. But so it's kind of 6 one-way half. That doesn't bother me, but
From an engineering standpoint, I mean, eliminating unnecessary impervious area is always beneficial, and it's reducing the amount of runoff that we have to deal with, and it's reducing the amount of contaminants associated with the roads and everything. So, you know, smaller alleys instead of big roads tend to slow people down, just make people look around a little bit better. Kenneth was talking about separating the alleys from the road. I think when you're just talking about like maybe a brick line or something, probably even, we're not to this point yet, but maybe even leaving the mount of curve where you're actually going to go into the alley like you were a driveway. I mean, the real intent is to not build these giant roads just because we're trying to get away from that, let's just build it because that's what people have done in the past out here, and trying to fit the neighborhood within the confines of what we have.
it's definitely different. I mean, it's outside the box, and I appreciate y'all in Public Works and Planning being willing to work with us on it, because it's different. It's not, it doesn't check all the boxes, but I know that y'all are in favor of green things and in favor of ingenuity, as long as it makes sense to everybody. I mean, I get that it's got to make sense for Public Works, it's got to make sense for y'all. So we're willing to help in any way we can. The other good thing about minimizing the right of way, but still giving that 10-foot easement, would be that we could have some driveway to allow 2 cars to park in the back as well. So you have the garage, the 2 additional for 2 parking spots, the additional driveway for visitors or something like that, and then the roadway. So,
you look close, there's 24 additional spaces.
Yeah, I was looking at that,
But
for 100 and something else.
Yeah, but it's still not, and the first person that parks on the street, that street shut down.
And that's why I want to discourage that. I mean, I want to be able to have that additional driveway for people to be able to park behind it, but, and then some visitors and things to. Right, yeah. I mean, this is definitely gonna be a big HOA community with the common areas in the middle that are gonna have to be upkept, making sure that people don't trash up or have things in the backyard.
Is this gonna be gated?
It will not be.
Mike, to your point, the HOA would prevent parking in the alleys. Obviously, can't physically prevent it, but we certainly can prevent it from being a recurring issue.
All right. So, unless there's any more questions, we're still calling here.
So what, that mean houses can park 2 cars? Is that what you guys are saying?
You technically four,
Two in the garage,
technically
two in the
four,
driveway.
2 in the garage, 2 in the driveway. Of course, you're blocking the 2 in the garage.
Thank y'all. And we're still in public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to speak either in favor or against item B, come to the podium. All right, and seeing no input, is there a motion to come out of public hearing?
Motion to come out of public hearing.
And a motion, Mr. Blackman.
Second.
Second, Mr. Impey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Well, thank you. Very much.
Well, I do have some concerns, but we are at sketch plat. I think there's still a lot to be determined at preliminary plat. And Public Works is not even, have y'all even reviewed it yet? Have y'all,
We looked at it,
what is your initial,
well, with the setbacks for the utilities is good, but we're not really thrilled about having to take over these narrow streets. That's gonna be a headache, and the hammerheads is always a headache, but the alleyways and driveways.
okay, and what would be obviously the preference would be to continue the hammerhead on around. Is that something that could be addressed at preliminary? I mean, once,
We've discussed that, and at this point, they are not choosing to do that, but I think once we receive, and again, I think drainage is gonna be one of the biggest factors. They may have to change things just because of the drainage, not because of, so we're kind of waiting to see what impact that has. And when they come back with the drainage design and the utility design, then Public Works will have a better feel for their comfort level in taking over the maintenance. Then we just don't have those details because they don't come until the next phase. So I think that's where it's kind of hard for us to say, yes, it is outside the box. And because there are boxes that we can't check yet, it's hard to say if it's too far out of the box or not.
It sounds like still got time to make consideration.
Which motion would be appropriate for, there's 2.
Well, let's see, they did motion number 2. They, recommended approval with the 2 waivers, and those are the 2 waivers that are listed in y'all's memo. Now, they also did, it was brought up about the public versus private in that meeting, and we kind of looked over it, because that's not determined until preliminary. What we told them and what we're presenting to you is that determination would be made at its appropriate step in preliminary plat, and it will depend on the
Corps of Engineers might show up.
Corps of Engineers
Monkey wrench the whole thing.
could trump over, you know. But, you know, conceding that that they're able to do the drainage work and the Corps of Engineers accepts it, these are the 2 things at this phase. And then when we receive the preliminary plat, there may be other items that need waivers or consideration that we would bring to you at that time.
You know, like you said, it's so early in the process.
It's too early to say.
No reason I see not to move forward at this point and work out the details.
Yeah, there's still some details.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the Savannah State subdivision sketch plat, including the waivers from EDC for the sidewalk on OCC and the minor requirement that minor streets have the right of way to 50 feet, pavement with the flood court.
Second.
All right, motion on Mr. Henry, second Mr. Hoffman. Any last minute further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. We have a.
Oh, but,
What?
we're good.
Okay. We'll meet, all right, so item C, is there a motion to go into public hearing?
So moved.
All right, motion Mr. Blackman,
Second.
second Mr. Hoffman, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
This UDC amendment, like we told you before, we're going through and doing housekeeping kind of cleanups. What happened is we have several applications and activities that were listed as public hearing in the UDC and requiring a public hearing, where we had maybe not done a formal hearing previously, final plat being one of them, the HPC applications that come to you. So in order to streamline and kind of make the process more effective, we created in that table that you see in your packet a section called public comment meeting. What that would be is it would operate, as far as the public is concerned, in the same way. It would allow for input at the time of that item rather than having to do a public comment beforehand. The primary difference is we would not have to fulfill the advertisement and the paper requirement, which sometimes kind of messes up the timeline for things that are listed there. And it's just for those items. A major variance, which a setback is a minor variance, it's already handled otherwise, but zoning justice board is a major variance. An appeal that goes through that of a simple lot split, that's not a subdivision, that's a one parcel into two parcels. Certificate of appropriateness, which is your HPC item, and a subdivision final plat, because once you get to final plat, it's really was it built according to the preliminary plat. So there would still be notification of the neighbors. We would still send out the mailers to the people within the 500-foot bubble and put a yard sign on the property. The only difference is sometimes meeting that 15-day advertisement, which is actually more than that for us since we have a Thursday publication, would no longer be implemented, and they wouldn't have to go make the motions to go in and out of public hearings. So that's really the only difference. So that's what's in front of you, is just to modify those. With the ordinance that you have in your packet, looks like a lot, but if you look at the things that are underlined are the additions and the strikeouts are the subtractions. And it just kind of rearranges that matrix to create that category.
If there's anybody who would like to speak either for or against item C, come to the podium. Seeing no inputs, is there a motion to come out of public hearing? So moved.
Second.
Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Blackman, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
And Nicole, this is compliant with all our state laws and rules.
Yeah, as long as there's notification out there, it's not necessary that it be published for these particular items. So the public is still gonna be notified, so there's still transparency. It's just not specific to publication in the paper for these particular items.
So Carolyn, to clear up any confusion on my point, 'cause I think I followed this, but would this be a separate meeting? Or would
No,
this take
no.
part during public comment
Right.
of the planning commission meeting?
Yeah, right now, it's just like your agenda, they would have public hearing if it had to be handled as a
And there
public
would be
meeting
public comment section for each.
for each item.
item.
So during the meeting, we would talk about that item, and then the chair could ask for public input at the time. Right now, it doesn't really allow for that. If it's just on the agenda, they talk about it, and there's not a formal, may as well be a public hearing. So in order to make it easier to follow during the meeting, the chairman can allow questions and comments from the public at the time that they're discussing it. It just doesn't require the publication. It just kind of streamlines the meeting, makes it more understandable how it's going to flow for everyone.
Aye.
Aye.
Did we do a motion? Okay, I'm sorry.
I'll
We
make.
made a motion to come out of public hearing, I'm sorry.
You wouldn't have to do that anymore.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the amendment to revise chapter 2, table 2.1, section 2.5, and table 2.2 related to public hearings and public meetings as described in detail in the attached ordinance.
Okay, motion, Mr. Blackman, second by Mr. Cox. Any further discussion? All right, we do a roll call.
Aye.
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 Motion passes. All right, item D, motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Motion to go into public hearing, Mr. Hoffman. Second, Mr. Blackman, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. This one may look familiar. It's been before you several times in different versions. Rossetti Park between Church and Cox up near the highway. Essentially, the best way to describe it would be that the previous layout that came to you, they just kind of reversed it and put the houses on the other side of the property. So what it is a minor subdivision. Will create 3 lots and a future development area, which is similar to the last one, like I said, the mirror image of it. And it does meet the CMX2 zoning requirements. A minor subdivision does not require both sketch and preliminary, so this is pretty much just the one step. And typically minor subdivisions wouldn't create public infrastructure. Part of this project, however, will be to replace the water line, or to address the water line on one of the sides. We are still working with the developer to determine exactly what that's gonna look like, and also if it's going to be part of a larger water line project.
That's what I was gonna ask, is it necessary to use 6 inches? And you gotta use that much water, we're not gonna get a lot of stagnant water from the use out of a pipe like that.
No, because we're gonna eventually loop it back into Robinson and take it back to Washington. It'll be a loop
Eventually, like, what kind of timeline? What kind of timeline are you talking about?
Probably within, I couldn't tell you right off the top of my head, but we're gonna put 2-inch post pipe at the end of it to blow off to keep it fresh.
Yeah,
You're gonna have to go blow it off every now and then.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we talked about in planning commission is to visit that and make sure that that is the best way, or if it's a project that we wanna go ahead and take on now, so we don't have to come back to it later. We're gonna meet and talk about that, so that's the only item that will have to be resolved before they get a final plat.
Good timeline.
And we'll have a timeline, but
Yeah, I mean,
you won't get final plat.
I just think you have a timeline on it. I mean, we're gonna put 10 years, we're gonna be opening up a valve to
Right.
flush a line.
But if it's gonna be next
No,
year,
it
we
won't
might.
be 10 years. Robinson's got bad lines, and we're having to replace that line 10 foot at a time for about 2 years. That's one of the streets that's on the be upgraded.
So we're gonna look at that between now and when final plat comes in and resolve that, but otherwise, there's no other public infrastructure that has to be addressed.
I guess then I got a question for James. If it's 6 inch, is that really necessary? 6 inch line?
It is, we want to loop the thing into the system, so we don't want a smaller line in there. We want-
Okay, so I mean, 6 inch isn't to strictly provide for this site, this is just for,
No, just for this site, but, you know, whether the city, you know, if they're gonna participate in it or whatever, you know, we work out here, that's what's still up in the air. But we want to take that 6-inch line from DeSoto, we're tying it in, we wanna run 6 inch up Church, and then we wanna run a 6 inch also, back to Washington, and make that whole loop in there a 6 inch, because that improves our fire protection, and all, but right now, I mean, we're running on an 1.5 line on Church.
quarters, yeah.
But I think that's what we need to resolve, is this a project that we wanna move up in order, so we're not tearing things up twice, and then do some sort of cost sharing with them. But we're gonna meet later this week to kind of go through that, and so that we can get that
I
back to
guess
them.
my biggest question though, I mean, why would we ask property owners to partner in something that not really benefiting them?
Well, that's what we need to look at, what the total project is, so we can
I'm just
determine.
asking the question, am I wrong? Because I mean, it's gonna be residences and 16 of them, they're just gonna tap into the 6 inch.
Right.
They'll have,
I think we need to do some kind of cost sharing, because, I mean, it'll benefit the subdivision.
Am I wrong?
You're right. It'll benefit a lot.
Well, I think once we have some more definitive cost on what it's gonna be and just how much that would be, then we can have that conversation with them, and then that's a decision that y'all can make. Right now, we just don't have the numbers solid enough to be able to provide that to you. But, that's the only outstanding issue. And I think the issue was, you're putting new houses on it, whereas it might have been able to go longer without, if you didn't touch it, once you start working on it and an older line. So I don't know that upgrading it is in the plans anyway, a year or two down the road. So the determination is how much.
We've got an infrastructure problem there.
Right.
It needs to be corrected. That's not, I'm looking at it as if I own the lot, and I'm being told, hey, you gotta split this cost of upgrading our infrastructure.
Right.
That wouldn't fly with me.
Right.
Just saying.
And we haven't really had a definitive plan to sit down and discuss with them, so, I'm not saying that there would be cost sharing, I'm just saying there's a possibility depending on what the design is.
I would hope there would be a cost sharing if we're gonna make them spend more money to do something that's gonna benefit.
They may offset just the portion that affects their property if they were gonna have to spend some money on it anyway. So,
I think it's only appropriate to do cost sharing.
yeah, but we'll bring that back to you for a final determination before,
And that's not to say it's 50/50.
No.
10%.
It might be 10% of it, yeah.
I
mean, how much is the cost of doing something like that from 4 to 6?
we don't
Just
have it yet.
approximate.
We haven't costed it yet, so.
All right, we're in public hearing. If there's anybody who would like to speak either for or against item D, comes to the podium. All right, seeing no input, is there a
Motion to our public hearing.
Motion, Mr. Impey. Second, Mr. Cox, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, further discussion?
I have a motion that we accept 709 Church Street, Rossetti Park request for approval for a minor subdivision.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Hoffman, second.
If I could get you to clarify, we just didn't have it in the title, but it's the subdivision sketch plan.
Subdivision sketch plan.
Motion, Mr. Hoffman, second by Mr. Blackman. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have a motion to go to public hearing for item D. Motion, Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Hoffman, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, Carolyn?
Obviously, I don't need that. This is one of those public hearings that now that we've changed it out of the ordinance, we wouldn't have to do a public hearing for you all as well. So that's, it would just be on consent, it's no longer a public hearing in the formal sense. So this is for HPC at 501 Rayburn, and it will allow for 2 additions to the existing dwelling on the southwest corner and the northeast corner. The information is provided to you. It was approved by the HPC. The question was raised about the designation of the property as a contributing property with archives and history. Without going through the very long, convoluted way that they handle it, it is a contributing property in the FEMA National District, which simply protects it and has no regulatory authority. So there is no contributing factor that impacts how we apply our regulations. That's the best way I can translate it. It was very confusing, but essentially I did confirm with Archives and History today that those designations that are on their website do not change the way that we have been doing review and approval of our historic guidelines. So I did clarify that. That was the one question that HPC had as far as could they approve it and what would the impact be to the property which is listed as contributing. That just means at the time that they designated the district, it was old. They contributed to the historic property. So with that, the information and the layout is there, and it was approved with discussion by HPC.
All right, is there anyone who would like to speak either for or against item D? All right, so no input, we have a motion to come out of public hearing. Motion, Mr. Hoffman, second, Mr. Blackman, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right,
carries.
Motion, Mr. Blackman, second, Mr. Hoffman. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have a motion to go into public hearing for item F.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Blackman, second, Mr. Cox. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
This is the same concern except about the contributing question. And it is a COA for 522 Jackson for some modifications, including removing the existing carport, a single front window and replacing 2 windows, and replacement of the front porch. So there's major renovations to the property. After discussion, the HPC recommended approval with all members present, voting in favor.
Is there anyone who would like to speak either for or against item F?
Make a motion to come out of public hearing, Mr. Mayor.
All right, motion, Mr. Hennessy. Second, Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion to recommend approval of the COA for the alterations to 522 Jackson Avenue as described in the application plans.
Motion, Mr. Hennessy. Second, Mr. Cox. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion to enter public hearing on 110 Yellowstone Circle.
Motion for item G on by Mr. Hempy. Second, Mr. Blackman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
That's not mine.
Yes.
The other part, I'll have you see here also, any questions? This is the one we're continuing that we started prior to COVID. We postponed it due to COVID for the demo of the house that's been going on forever.
Yeah, I could probably speak to this as well. This is something that's been going on for many years. It started with the previous owner of the house, the daughter. It was a planted yard. Unfortunately, it was planted to look like a South American jungle. There were paths on the property where you could kind of sort of walk, but as a result, there were all kinds of vermin. You had rats, possum, raccoon, anything that could find shelter in there one time or another did, and it has been a headache to the neighbors. Some of the neighbors could not be here tonight, but they've communicated with me. They were fully in support of the action we're taking. Mrs. Potts, Mr. Dollar. Unfortunately, the lady passed away a few years ago. The father inherited it, and I'm sympathetic to the gentleman who lives in Texas, but he's basically been gaming the system. At one time, we were going to pursue the same public hearing. He pulled the permit. This when Mr. Fountain, Mr. Stringfellow's predecessor, was the building official. He pulled the construction permit, 6 months. Got a dumpster out there, threw some trash away, and put a few pieces of plywood up over some holes. The gentleman has been offered what I consider, the house needs major renovation. There are huge holes in his house. It's something that I would want to tackle. And he's had 2 offers to buy the house, and he adamantly refused to sell. He would have sold for a much higher price, and to be blunt, it's not worth what he's asking for. This structure it's bad. It's really bad. We've been cutting the yard now. How long have we been cutting the?
Don't know, I haven't cut it since I've been here, but just kind of with this ongoing delay.
Right. I know we've cut it a few times, but it's an ongoing issue. He bought us originally saying it was supposed to be some kind of research. He's a doctor, or he's a scientist of some type. He was claiming protection because it was supposed to be research. So, well, it's not zoned for research. It's a residential neighborhood.
I'm trying to understand the end of his letter.
I was just fixing to
I
ask
just
Mike.
reread it because I read it at home and I was like,
Yeah,
What is he talking about?
I have no clue. This is the first time it's come up. I take that back the second time. I think it came up when Mr. Fountain was here. He went out to the property, found nothing. I don't know what the gentleman's talking about.
You know,
But,
What part of the letter?
The altar.
The altar and the diocese.
Yeah, I had never seen an altar there. Don't know.
I don't know.
He says it was something that was blessed by the priest.
Or he wanted it blessed. That's
I went there last week as well to see if I could salvage something. There is a lot of little figurines that are cement, but it looks like garden figures. And there is something in cement that looks like it's like a wood carving out of cement, but it's in the ground. Very heavy, nothing that I could see. And very concerned that a fire is gonna erupt soon because he still has power there. And with all the infestation, I'm concerned that it's gonna
He's
go up
literally
soon.
paying the power bill.
He's still paying power, because I saw the lights blinking on the
You
oven.
condemn that, you can't get him to disconnect power.
I can, and that would have to be, probably have to condemn it. And that was another thing, he's got open power, last time I was there, it was open power meter.
Yeah,
Receptacles without
And
covers.
kids
so
could go in and
kids-
out of the house and everything right now.
It's not properly boarded up either.
Yeah,
So
it's-
here's one thing I'd like to do real quick, since in this letter, he mentions somebody Ken and I know, it's Margarita Sweatman. Ken, would you get a hold of her and see if she knows what he's talking about in this letter? And if she can go salvage, if it's there, whatever he's talking about, before we move forward, and then move forward.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I don't know, it doesn't make a lot of sense, it's pretty much incoherent rambling, but if there's something that Margarita might want, we need to.
Yeah, and that's fine, we got no issue with that. When we were going to schedule this hearing, it was back in March, I think it was, and everybody, information was just coming out about the pandemic. We didn't really know what we were going to be faced with, so we delayed the hearing. And the gentleman, in his correspondence back, accepting the delays, that was a good thing, because he had just gotten back from Spain, traveling to Spain. So, you're right. You can go to Spain, but you can't come from Texas. And the latest thing is, his doctor advised him to wear a COVID hotspot. He's elderly, and he advised him not to travel to Mississippi. So,
Public comment. You got anything?
do what?
You got anything further? Sorry.
No, just other than Mr. Mr. Dollar, Johnny Dollar, and Miss Gummy Potts could not be here, but they both spoke in favor of our actions today. They sent me emails today, and I can forward those to add to the file.
All right, we're in public comment. If there's anyone who would like to speak for or against, once any of those in the circle, we come to the podium now. All right, seeing no input, is there a motion to come out of public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hempy, second Mr. Blackman, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right, Mike, you want to do the honors?
Well, reluctantly, I'll make a motion to allow code enforcement to begin demolition procedures at 110 Yellowstone Circle, allowing for this religious official to check the property for the aforementioned altar in the correspondence.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hempy, second Mr. Blackman, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All righty. To the agenda public comment, this is a fairly new addition to the agenda. We have general public comment towards the end for anything and everything that you might like to say to myself and the board. This item 4 is for agenda public comments only, so this is reserved specifically for items under new business and old business. So if you have a comment regarding any of the, and consent, I'm sorry, or any of the items that you may see on the agenda, if you have anything you'd like to say about any of these items, you can come to the podium now. Seeing no input, we'll go to new business. Discussion of approval of MOU with the Ocean Springs Art Association. This is something we've been working on with part of our Mary Sue push to go ahead and get the Art Association in there and get their business continuing. motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Empey. Any discussion, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, item B, authorize to advertise for request for proposals regarding City of Ocean Springs banking policy. Patty, you working on this?
Yeah, well, we'll be, that'll go out, I'll push it out to the banks in the morning. The fire truck loan got pushed out to them yesterday, and all of this stuff will be opened at the November board meeting. I'll probably go ahead and open them and prepare something that day, and we'll try to award that night. In case it does leave Hancock with me, if it leaves, I'm gonna have to order checks and have a lot to do.
Let's think it's a drastic change in your level.
Well, they'll be invited, all of them will be invited to.
Is there a motion for item B?
I'll make a motion to approve item B.
Motion by Mr. Blackman. Second. Second by Mr. Catania. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, discussion on front beach damage due to tropical storm Cristobal.
One thing I'd like to make a motion, we accept our request to county's assistance on removing the damaged sidewalk and possibly whatever replacement help we can get from them. They did express interest in helping us. They were needing that in the minutes, so a motion made.
County.
Yeah.
So just request assistance from the county regarding front beach sidewalk body.
The
Yes,
damaged sidewalk.
removal of the damaged sidewalk, approximately 200 feet.
Such motion.
Yeah.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. Cox, second by Mr. Blackman. Any further discussion on that? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
We do need to discuss moving forward with replacement. I mean, that's something that the county is willing to give us assistance, and we haven't determined what assistance that would be. I feel like we need to go ahead and once it's tore out, replacing the sidewalk itself. It would recommend to me that we possibly extend that seat wall in front of that section of sidewalk also. I mean, I know there have been people in favor of it, not liking the seat wall, but that seat wall did protect the section next to what's needing to be tore out. So, I mean, we can do it in phases. We can go ahead and replace the sidewalk and make the footing wide enough underneath where that seat wall can sit down on it. To do that at a later date. I feel like we need to hurry up and get that sidewalk replaced.
Well, we can, hopefully we can get the county out here and then we can discuss what we're doing. All right, old business discussion, item A, discussion of revision of speed limit ordinance, certain street speed limits lowered from 30 miles per hour to 25. I looked at the list, I agree with the streets. I'm not sure if you had a chance to review it.
Yeah, these were the streets that were
Just thinking about-
improperly rated for 30 miles an hour. It's basically two-lane, no-shoulder roads through residential neighborhoods.
What's it mean with the lines through? You know, like Bechtel has a line through it and from that.
So the line through it makes it go from the 30 and it reverts to the 25.
25.
Right, so the list that's there are all the streets that are currently 30 miles per hour. When I mark through them with that line, that means that they're being taken off the 30 miles per hour and then they automatically revert to the 25 miles per hour. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what's happening. When I have a strike through, that means it goes to 25.
I was kind of confused.
The ones that don't have they'll stay the same.
Correct.
Yeah, there are 25.
No. The ones that don't have a mark through are 30.
Davidson.
That's what the ordinance says.
Davidson, the signs of 25.
According to the ordinance, it's 30.
Oh, really?
So if you would like to change it officially in the ordinance to 25, I can include a marker. This is for discussion tonight. Mr. Kim brought it up to me earlier too. So if there's any additional streets on this list that do not have a strike through on it, we can strike through those streets and then they'll also become 25.
So Hudson Road is 30?
That's what your ordinance says. I just copied and pasted from the ordinance.
But the sign says 25.
It says-
It may, I didn't drive down the roads to determine which ones were which.
I haven't seen much speaking there.
For clarity, Nicole, if you'll say it, it took me a little bit to understand, all those streets of whatever, 10, 15 streets will all be 25 miles per hour.
No,
The ones with the strike.
just the ones with the strike throughs.
These were the ones we discussed at the last meeting, and we asked you to put on here, why is other ones wrong here, I do not know.
Right, I wanted you to see which ones were being taken off and which ones were being left at 30 miles per hour for the purposes of discussion, because just like this is coming up on, streets that may already have 25 mile per hour.
Let's discuss while we're here, we got a lot of extra ones here that probably need to be changed.
Right, and that's what I wanted to do before we actually put this out for, publication. I wanted to make sure that these were the streets that y'all wanted to take off the 30 mile per hour list.
I don't think we need to take that Government Street 200 feet off, because we did that on purpose to third.
Right.
Yeah,
That's correct. I feel like that every one of these streets should be 25.
I do too.
You mean to tell me there's a section of Lover's Lane that's 30 miles an hour?
According to your ordinance.
First come off.
Yeah, just when you just come off the highway.
Oh, and I go around.
I think all these streets should be 25, of course, with them a line through front.
Just to explain what I did again, I copied and pasted from the ordinance, the streets that are 30 miles per hour. And then I went through and redlined, and the red lines are the ones that are marked through. So those are the ones that last week, or 2 weeks ago, y'all gave me authority to go down to 25. And then I left all the other ones on here for the purpose of discussion.
I'm good with all of it.
I'm good with all of them. Davidson, Lafayette, and Davidson, all three of those. Yeah, that's a good example.
All these signs are replaced.
Now, Bechtel's a little different. It's like 2 lanes, but they're separated, and there's not hardly any houses I consider on Bechtel.
That was just one that was brought up at the last meeting to take off and put it
A
at
lot of
25.
bicycle and pedestrian traffic.
On that one?
Yeah.
That one was specifically on the list that was given to me at the last meeting.
Okay.
Well, how about we just
Fine, all of you.
I would like to see us basically have every street in Ocean Springs, with the exception of 90 and Government Street, 25 miles an hour. It's easy to explain and the citizens understand.
Well, I mean, I think we stick with this, because this is a list of all streets that are 30 in current.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I think this is it. This is low hanging.
Yeah, and then if we need to look at some others later, we can. This is a great start.
So how about we entertain a motion to approve item A with the addition of all of the roads listed
With the exception of Government Street.
with the exception.
Now, Rob, I know you discussed possibly lowering Government Street from Bechtel to Ocean Springs Road, the whole section instead of.
Yeah, I got myself in a bind on that one.
Right now, I think that's good.
I don't know.
Let's go on.
Yeah, if we get that service road fixed over by Woody's, they can all use to come down the Hammer and cut right there.
All right, is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make it. Make a motion that we approve.
Well, this just gives me the authority to
Correct,
actual.
right.
Okay, sorry.
Train of thought.
Sorry. I just didn't want you to think you were approving the ordinance and
Yes. Motion to revise speed limit ordinance for certain streets, lower from 30 to 25 per the list on this is.
I'll second.
Did you want to exclude government though?
To include, with the exception of government.
All right, motion by Mr. Black, second by Mr. Aldermen. Any further discussion? And with this just being to discuss the revision, do I need a roll call? It's not, okay.
No, she's just got to push this together.
She's got it right.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, discussion of revision of ordinance outlining golf cart and low speed vehicle registration requirements. 2 options.
Okay, this is similar. Y'all asked me to look at this for this meeting, or Rob did, which was to include the section in there about if a golf cart or low-speed vehicle is properly registered in another municipality within Mississippi, then it permit is good here so long as they meet all the other requirements. So I included that, and then the other inclusion, and that's option one, it doesn't have anything about the fees. And then Patty brought up the fees, and then I also looked at Gaucher's that they just implemented, and it's a $25 fee for Gaucher, and that's a one-time fee per owner. So as it stands right now, there's a $10 fee per owner for the Ocean Springs permit. So they get the $10, they pay the $10 when they get the permit, and then if they ever sell the golf cart, then the next owner is supposed to come in and get another permit, and that's $10. The same goes for Gaucher and other cities, but it's a little more expensive, it's $25. So I just gave a second option that included the fee increase.
That's the only difference between option 1 and 2.
Correct.
Another problem we found out is when they're bringing the insurances in, a lot of times the insurance companies are not making sure that their roadway, what's it called, something to do with the roadway. So you can buy golf cart coverage for just the golf cart. And so we're having to try to start figuring out how to make sure it's got roadway coverage.
There's two separate coverages. There's the
Off-road and on-road.
Basically, yeah. One is insurance coverage for use on a golf course, and then the other is what we should, if we don't already require, it's for on-road.
They're not telling it.
If they come in and it's not correct, just tell them they've got to come back and get it right.
I guess I need to know what the difference in cost is, and then we'll know. You know, if it's $70, we'll know it's not roadway maybe, because it doesn't tell the difference.
So basically, I just need to know which option you would like to move forward with, because again, you're not approving this tonight, because we have to advertise for it. So I just wanted both of these to be put out there for y'all to discuss, if anything y'all want to change, and then which option you'd like to move forward with.
You don't want to up the fee? I mean, I didn't ask for that.
Even at that fee, it's cheaper than what most modest municipalities are. I mean, we're barely, with the personnel and then the stickers, you know, we're barely.
The stickers are $5. And the bigger problem is when they sell, we're not gonna know that, so they're just gonna keep the same sticker. That's why Bay St. Louis makes them register once a year.
I was gonna say, do you wanna up the fee or keep the fee the same and just make them renew every year?
Well, even if you keep it the same, you're making $5.
But just not.
The following year, you
Not
make
really.
it.
Not if
Oh,
you renew
I
it.
got you.
So it could be 10
No new
years.
sticker, I got you.
Yeah, right.
Go either way. I like the
I
25.
like a yearly renewal, but
Well, the thing is, a lot of people are buying and selling and trading in, and those stickers are getting moved on.
And then, you know, if they renew it every year, you can ensure that they have insurance coverage, because otherwise you're not gonna insure them.
The other theory is, I guess the policemen, when they stop them, they would be able to tell that that sticker doesn't belong to that owner. That's not really positive, but, well, that's the chief, so that might kind of regulate that also.
just get T-Bone to check them all, and if they're not right, they can come in.
No comment? No. What you think? What we doing?
Mine going to 25.
Yeah, I prefer the 25.
Well, I mean, that's in line with everybody else, and like you said, the sticker itself costs us $5. So,
Doesn't include
What,
the-
they renew every year?
right.
John, do you all want to renew every year?
Not renewed.
I didn't bring it up, I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not gonna bring that up.
It is a lot of work. I prefer we didn't really necessarily have to, if y'all think that the officers can catch
They're
that
not
you
gonna
sold
catch
it
them
to
all.
him, you know what I mean? Because you're talking about a lot of people, a lot of time taken to just handle these golf carts.
Well, my concern is the insurance. You know,
Right.
I think it's a privilege to have a golf cart, and I think people, you know, I mean, look at the police department with the battle with vehicles that have to show proof every year. I mean, people are not, they pay in 1 month to get a card, and then they're not renewing it, you know, or paying their bills. And I would hate for somebody to get a vehicle damaged from somebody that has to use uninsured motors because of a golf cart that doesn't have insurance.
That's why we have the mobile food vendors renew every year, so they could be sure that the certifications were in line, and short-term rental, same thing, so that you can check that.
I mean, I don't think people are gonna have a problem with whether it's $10 or $25 a year for the benefit that comes out of using a golf cart in the city of Ocean Springs.
Right.
Especially if you're gonna do it every year, then I would ask that you raise it a little bit, because that'd be 300 and something, right now, almost 400 people coming in here to handle that process a year.
So do we need we don't really need a motion on this, we just,
I just need to know which one you want to move forward with, if y'all want the fee, if you want it annually, because I mean, I can't do it.
I'll make the recommendation, we go with option 2.
Just a one-time, what about year?
I'm fine with just option 2. But y'all, I mean,
I'm just asking.
I think it needs to be annual.
I don't have a problem with it.
And it doesn't have to be 10 or 25, y'all can do it another fee at 15 or 20.
yeah, and if you wanna do annual, we can, instead of doing 25, we can, push it down to.
I just put
10 or
25 because
15.
that's what GoShare was, had in there.
But they're not annual.
Correct. It's the same as ours, as it transfers with
There,
ownership.
we're gonna reciprocate with them, so let's keep it the same. I mean, that's.
You can do that, I'm just telling you that, and I'm foreseeing them every year, because they're gonna sell them, they're not gonna have insurance, y'all gonna have a problem. We had one the other day caught on fire, and the fire department had to go on in, and one turned over on government. Things are starting to happen with them.
Is that the rentals that we're doing that?
The one that caught on fire, I knew the owner. He told me him and his whole family had to jump off, and Bobby's wife saw one turn over or something.
Was it a gas cart? Or
His was battery. The one that caught on fire was battery, Brandon.
Oh.
I could go either way, we just, whatever you wanna do.
I'd rather be safe with the annual.
You want to see it annual?
Do we charge them every year?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's personnel involved, you have to.
Yeah. But instead of, if we're doing an annual, instead of doing a 25.
What about 20?
I think that's reasonable. I just think that it's gonna make people, come in with their insurance and prove that they have it.
So is this gonna make you have to go back and contact all the ones that are out there and let them know, or?
See, they're all thinking it's a one-time thing from now until they sell it.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't have done that. Yeah.
We did.
I don't really know. I guess we would just have to put it out there that you have to bring your insurance in at least and ownership.
I would almost bet you that with the amount of times that we've had golf carts out there, that if the police department did a pulled over golf carts this weekend checking for insurance cards, I guarantee you that probably half wouldn't have it on their golf cart. Or if they did, it would be
I mean,
expired.
that might be the answer, don't charge them a lot, and then the officers, they'll just get tickets if they're not doing it right, but I think that for you to make sure they have insurance, you almost have to have them come once a year. If that golf cart belongs to that person with that insurance. And the cost that you could drop it to 15, you don't have to do a whole 25, then it might would cover personnel, because it takes
I think 20 is
10
fair.
minutes,
So it sounds like we're talking, annual with a $20 fee, is that what I'm hearing the consensus to be?
I don't think people are gonna complain about that.
Annual registration,
works.
$20 fee? All right.
But you're gonna have to get the word out to them.
Yeah, we can do that.
Would you like
You're gonna have to come back.
motion?
We could start handing that out too, once y'all decide. We can just let them know every year you have to come in and bring your insurance.
But do you do it from the day you first purchased, and then a year later come back, or do you have a set date?
I'd say whenever they,
Purchase, just
whenever
like
they
the
register,
Purchase.
whenever they register their.
For the purchase.
Yeah. Are y'all gonna go through it and send them a letter saying that you're due?
We could, but it'd be about 400 letters.
I don't even know what day, what month I bought mine.
Well, I mean, just to rebut that, I mean, ignorance of the law and ignorance of when you have to pay your bills
No, I paid
is not
my bill.
really
I
a
just don't know
fair
when I bought it.
excuse.
Because
I don't
you
know
thought
the
you
day
didn't
I
have
got it.
to, yeah. Well, we did tell people we weren't going to, so we will
We'll
have to
get the word
do,
out.
we'll have to do some kind of advertising. And then for the future, we need to handle something to say you're required to come in once a year, bring in your insurance. We'll probably need to do some anyway, it says it needs to say that it's roadway or off the road, whatever.
Yeah, that clarification needs to be made anyway, so this is probably a good time to do it.
And I've seen several lately that don't have two headlights.
All right, so what motions?
Yeah, I
what all-
know,
what
they
all-
made me get one for my city card.
Yeah, they did.
What all do we need to include for the motion?
Just motion for,
Option 2.
yeah, motion to give
$20.
me authority to move forward with, an ordinance revision that includes the $20 fee annual, along with, we're still approving the part where you can use the reciprocal use of permits in other cities. So maybe you should do motion to approve option 2 with the revision of $25 to $20 annual fee. Yeah.
So moved on that. All right, so moved by Mr. Cox. Second by Mr. Blackman. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, we have old business on the agenda, but that is something that we'll need to discuss in an executive session. So we will move to the consent agenda. And does anybody have any items to pull from the consent?
Yes, I do, but I would like to, I'm gonna pull 7L and L and 7B.
Have L and B. Do I have more items to consent? Motion, Mr. Cox, second, Mr. Blackman, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries. All right, Ken?
On L, I just have a question on the payment of right away to do the doors. Should that have fell underneath our city attorney's monthly fee?
No, sir, so this is what y'all approved, for the purchase of the right-of-way on Knapp Road.
Right.
And then we had to do title work, which is outside of that fee. So no, sir, it would not, it wouldn't fall under the retainer amount.
Thank you. 7B,
You want to make a motion for
I make a motion that we accept 7L.
All right, motion by Mr. Pena. Second, Mr. Cox, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion
Mr. Ken, I just wanted to point out that does purchase the land. They paid for the land. Yeah, that amount you're seeing does purchase the land.
That was for the closing, so it had to go through our firm to be closed, and we closed with the homeowner, so that's why it went through us. You paid for the land, but it went through our firm.
Thank you. Yes, sir. 7, the tree department, tree applications. We have one that Darrell gave us, is number 3. Number 3, this is the application for 102 Branch Avenue, removal of one live oak that has lightning damage and disease. I would like to set this aside until a later date, and the reason I'm saying that is that this is, there are 2 lots, and there's a tree in between the 2 lots. We do not have a final plot plan or any plan that the developer has for house plans. And there's a possibility that the house will be designed around this tree. There's a possibility it will not, but nobody can answer that at that time. And this is a pretty substantial tree. It's got an old battle scar like all our trees in this town have, but it's very healthy. An individual that does that kind of business looking. But anyway, I would like to put this aside until a later date and discuss it once the developer demolishes the house and sells the lot and/or comes back and wants to build houses and brings us a lot.
What's the condition of tree there?
It's old, but it's good to say, I mean, it's got some rotted limbs, but, most of them do.
Ricky, I'd like you to go look at that tree. It's a typical tree that we have.
I just asked the question, because I didn't see it.
I think the tree's pretty damn healthy.
It's got one side that's got some hollow rails in it,
We've got trees in this town, if we have to start cutting this type of a tree, we might as well cut every one of them.
So they're gonna tear this house down?
They are going to demolish that house. It sits on 2 lots. Well, developer, is the developer here?
No.
Okay. I cannot speak with a lot of authority. Indicate what I have read here. And there's 2 lots, Boyd Beach Estates, 1 house on it. And it appears that he's purchased it, although his name is not on the record. As I looked it up in Jackson County, maybe it's at that time. But anyway, he's tear this house down. And yes, and or I don't know whether he is going to sell the lots or whether he's going to build houses. I think we're too far, we're just starting on this thing, to cut a tree down like this without any more information.
So basically just table it until we get a site plan that shows the footprint of the house to make sure it's necessary.
Exactly.
It may not be necessary.
Exactly.
All right, so you want to approve the rest of them, just to go ahead, 1 or 2 range?
Yes, yes, 102.
All right, so is that a motion?
Yes, I make that motion. Approve all of 7B, with the exception of number 3, 102 range.
Okay, motion, Mr. Buchanan.
That's table.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Blackman, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, here we have department reports. 8A, discussion of request from Brian Jones to set the suicide, okay. Rob, did you,
Yes,
a letter from
had some discussions on this, and I think Nicole,
Yeah.
basically, there's a JCUA line directly across the street from this lot that they have said he can tie into.
Correct, from my understanding. And, but then we also have a line that's much farther away, which is on Old Spanish Trail, I believe. So it's our understanding that the county is willing to allow him to tie into their line so long as we won't allow him to tie into the, Old Spanish Trail line.
So decide to formally reject.
We need a determination that it's, would be appropriate, to say not feasible for us to.
No, not at this time. Just, you need to reject his request to tie into your line.
That's, I don't see, just, we'll have to reject the request, and then he can.
I don't want it to be for feasibility purposes at this time, as in case it has to come up later, that if he would have to tie into our line, say something didn't work out with JCUA.
Right, okay, well then I'll make the motion that we deny the request from Ryan Jones to, at 3913 Hanshaw Road, to tie into our sewer system.
All right, motion, Mr. Blackman.
Second.
Second, Mr. Buchanan, any further discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to say something on
Yes,
that,
sir.
if that's all right. I was just wanting to tie into, like, the JCBH line right there.
Are you Mr. Jones?
Yes, okay. Wanted to tie into that 8-inch forest main across the street, which is 40 feet from our property line versus the 1,040 feet down the road. And the Public Works Department's been working, I've enjoyed working with those guys to get some pricing on that, and they submitted the pricing today, but it just economically cost feasible for me to go directly 40 feet from my, it just,
That's what we're making work. So it's our understanding that JCUA has to have a formal denial from the city in order for you to do that.
Yes.
So I don't want anything on the record of it not being feasible in case it had to come back to us later if something were to mess up with JCUA.
So, is that pretty much saying that I have to go tie into your line, I want to go to the public?
No, we're saying you're gonna tie into JCUA.
Oh, okay.
We're doing what you want, that's what I'm doing.
And one way,
Can we allow them to tie into their line in our certificate here?
Go to them.
If we deny him access to ours, then
So anybody else that develops on that road can automatically tie into their line?
we'll talk about that. All right.
This isn't automatic, that's why they have to do it first.
All right, did I already got a second? Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, docket of claims. Anybody have any items for the docket of claims?
I think I had one question, but I think Rob answered that $180,000 is for the purchase of the bridge.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I'm happy to say it is.
Well, I'm finally getting that.
Yeah, and once we, that will actually be the final payment to D. O'Brien. It will purchase the bridge in the pilot. We've been working with Public Works to have it delivered, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. And then I'll be able to turn around and close this contract and repackage it. At least I have gotten guidance from him that we use the same project number, so that cuts down on the paperwork after that.
So, I'll wait till August.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a huge step forward that we finally got through the logistics to close out quantities, and we've agreed upon everything. And this will bring D. O'Brien to a,
Well, then real quick, timeline, give me a timeline on close out and starting construction on the bridge.
I'm hoping to have closed out, depending on, once we receive the materials and accept them, we should have closed out within 30 days, and that's in the system. And then as long as I get, if the money has been put in the SIP, work through that, it's just a matter of repackaging a proposal to NDOT, which I'll start working on now. And I'm hoping to have all that submitted by first year, and then it's up to NDOT again.
So 30 days to close out, and then after the first of the year before we start construction.
Right, and what I'm gonna have to do is probably re-advertise
Any way to speed that up?
installations. I'm trying to be conservative in the long, so I don't have to come back every time, but I'm gonna try to do it much faster. It's possible that we're gonna receive the materials next week, and then I'll be able to, start to close out right away. I just don't know exactly what I'm gonna have to do in this closeout process.
Whatever we can do to speed this up, I'd like to see that bridge be under construction before the first of the year, if possible.
I'd like to, but I'm not gonna.
I'm just saying, that's.
We are gonna have to re-advertise the installation most likely though, so that's probably not gonna allow for that. But at least when I be started on that process. I think it would be fair to say that I hope to be starting on that process as far as finalizing the installation and having advertised by me. That would be my goal.
All right, so is there any items for the docket of claims? Is there a motion to approve the docket of claims?
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Blackman, second, Mr. Cox, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, update on the Wesley Emergency Water Sewer Bill, Elliott Homes. I did get a confirmation from Brandon that he will be paying for it, but I don't think that's
I
actually.
spoke to him today,
Okay.
yeah. Since they hadn't done anything yet, he called me today and said that he has told the subcontractor is supposed to be bringing the check to the water department. And I told him I wanted to be able to tell y'all tonight. He said if the subcontractor doesn't do that, then Elliott Homes will pay that.
As of when?
So I told him I would tell y'all that we would give it to the subcontractor a couple of days, but if not, by next week, then Elliott Homes will
Yeah,
give me a credit card.
Brandon did, it would either get paid from him or this contractor, so I think they're trying to work.
He
that.
assured us it would be took care of.
All right, discussion of grease trap at 714 Washington Avenue. At the Public Works.
Yeah, I'll explain it for you. Yes, we have a gentleman that actually is opening a daiquiri shop at the old Frisky's. And with that, he's wanting to serve pizza on the site. Of course, the city ordinance, anything that's got grease is required to have a grease trap. He's also here tonight to explain how he's gonna prepare it to wash whatever, and let y'all decide if he gets got a grease trap or not.
So what's the,
Richard, one of y'all want to explain?
Come to the podium.
you can come to the podium, yes, sir.
My name is Richard Harris. I reside at 717 Pine Drive, Ocean Springs. I'm the acting contractor. In the application process, the building department, I included a menu for the new tenant. And we put food items on there, and we were deferred. We have a permit to build out the daiquiri bar. We were deferred to the Board of Aldermen meeting for a special use for the pre-prepared food that we were seeking. The restaurant was there prior for the last 8.5 years, served pre-prepared food there without a grease trap. There is no room to put a grease trap in the facility. It borders adjacent buildings on 3 sides and Washington Avenue on the west side. So a 500-gallon grease trap would be impossible to put on the site anywhere. Pre-prepared foods, I'm not sure. I'll let Mr. Sullivan, the new lease tenant of the property, discuss pre-prepared foods as menu with you, but there is nowhere to put a grease trap on that property other than under the same grease trap. But the definition of pre-prepared foods, I'm not sure what French Kiss serve there, but they serve croissants, ice cream, and other foods for 8.5 years there without a grease trap also. So it was just under the assumption that he could serve some type of pre-prepared food there instead of just drinks alone. And the venue is fairly small. The building's only 1,000 square feet. So he's looking for something else as a draw card to keep customers there, bring them in also. I mean, by the time you take the storage room and the bathroom, you're down to 800 square foot retail space.
Thing is, though, we can't gauge what French Kiss did because all new permits require whatever the current requirement is. And I'm not saying we gotta do a 500-gallon grease trap.
Some precedents, but
I'm
we're
just-
not sure, myself or the lieutenant, what pre-prepared foods include. I think we need clarification. That's why, I think why we're here.
Yeah.
Mother's counter grease trap. Small ones. And they're not very, very big.
James, what's the retention time for grease?
I don't think you better get
James,
Oh,
what's the retention time for grease?
I think it's 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
What do you get, 28 minutes, 30 minutes, I believe it is, something like that.
I mean, I think we have.
I mean,
That small one, that might be.
Yeah, I think prepared food, it's just gonna be microwave and throw it away. You're not gonna have, it's really not gonna be.
I'll be glad to speak to whatever y'all wanna ask me.
Yes, sir. Can you tell us about the?
Well, Richard suggests I go to Sam's and other places to look. So I've got a ice chest full of food. If y'all want, I need to come in and cook some tonight. Everything's microwavable. In fact, chicken salad is pre-prepared that you can purchase, which is exactly what French Kiss did. She served ice cream that contains, and the gelatin, whatever else she has. There's other things that, there's other ways to serve food other than actually frying it in a grease and serving it up. So we'll do whatever you guys want us to do. I just want people to be in there and me be able to hold them in there. And if you're drinking beer, if you're watching a ball game, if you're drinking a daiquiri, I need some way to be able to hold them other than me putting pretzels on the counter. A 30-pound grease trap under counter is $300, and I'll be glad to put that in and let Richard plumb it up for me and dispose of it properly.
Well, it's not their intent to cook anything.
No,
They're able to warm something and be able to serve it on completely disposable.
I'll have nothing in there that has to be cooked or washed. Everything's served on plastic and plates, all the cups.
How are you gonna cut pizza?
How am I gonna cut it? They make those plastic things, roller wheels, just like they do the metal ones.
Right, but you still
But
have to wash it though, right?
the plastic one,
Yeah.
no, at the end of the day, I'm gonna throw it away. I mean, I'm not, it's not my, here's the situation. If that's all I gotta worry about is throwing away a plastic or some utensil that I'm cutting with, I don't have a problem throwing it away. That's not that expensive.
We did wash 1 or 2 utensils a day. I mean, we would expect the grease trap to be able to catch that we put on the counter. I mean, we're not.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
We're not gonna do wash an entire pizza pan.
You guys sit with Public Works and come up with that on the counter and then
go from there.
I don't have the authority to tell him he can put it under the counter, that has to go to the board.
I understand that, but I'm talking about if he provides you with the specifications for what they're gonna do, you can tell us if you agree or disagree.
I disagree.
They're gonna disagree with anything outside.
I don't have a choice, I have an ordinance that y'all wrote that I have to enforce.
But our ordinance also has a definition of under.
And that's why we're here.
sink
I understand.
that apparently has no use. Well, there's two businesses, what's that?
There's other businesses that have under-counter grease traps
That's what I was
presently.
getting ready to say. We've done it for two others, and we have also made a stipulation that, what it was, 6 months that, and how does that go?
It ain't been inspected, it's time for portables to be inspected.
Right, so I think that we could honor the same with him, with this gentleman, like we did with them, and K&G Prep, I think was the other one. I think that's the only two I know of.
There's more.
There's probably a whole lot more, but what I'm saying is I don't have the authority to do that, it's gonna be on y'all.
Well, I
If
don't know.
KCUA comes back and lays the fine out, they're not gonna send it to me, they're gonna send it to the city. They're not gonna send it to him.
I understand that.
And when we had that meeting before, exactly what was said there, Mr. Bobby. If y'all start now and start letting them use these under-counter grease traps, we're gonna end up with more grease in our system, and we're gonna end up having to pay fines.
I know, but the thing is, the same rule don't fit every car. I mean, and that's all I'm trying to say. I mean, I believe that if you have a place that fries food and you have those kind
I agree with
of
that.
equipment, it's gonna require more, but at the same time, what if he wanted to serve hot dogs and all he was washing was a rotisserie from a hot dog machine?
Which is in fact the case with Circle K right now that does not have a grease trap of any kind. They're on the rotisserie right now. I've got pictures of that, if y'all wanna see them.
To me, the under the counter just makes sense.
I don't have a problem with under the counter, no more food than what they'll be prepared.
Yeah, I mean,
I have no stove, no fried daddy or anything in there.
It'll be under inspection.
Heated and served on a disposable dish, I mean, simple as that. The pizza pans that they're on are all disposable, aluminum, real lightweight, you wad them up and, like aluminum.
well, I think also with the undermount or the under-counter grease trap, that's gonna help save some of your costs too, because I think you are gonna have a 3-compartment sink.
It's already installed.
So if you have the capability of wash, rinse, and sanitize, then you ought to be able to take advantage of doing that rather than throwing away so much.
Well, it's installed at the present time as we sit
Right.
here.
All right, what do y'all wanna do?
I'd say the biggest thing is just service that under-counter grease trap frequently.
I'm sensitive to the grease going into the sewer, I promise.
Okay.
And we'll have to have inspection, just like we are with portables. We have to have regular inspection, and if you notice, then we have to bring it to our attention. Something will have to be done at that time.
I don't see the need, but if it arose, you may have to go to a 50-gallon or 80-gallon.
I will look for, this one's 30 gallons for $300. I'll see that it's either serviced or go to a larger one to satisfy you guys.
Anybody wanna make a motion, or what do we wanna wait and see? We could go look, we can go check it out this week and, make the determination at the next meeting.
I don't think anything will change between now and then. Go ahead and make the motion.
Go ahead.
I'm just telling you, I can't make that call.
All right, somebody make it.
It's on the
I mean,
board.
I'll make a motion that we allow them to go ahead and use an under sink grease trap that, and it's inspected, what was it,
6 months after opening.
after opening.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Alderman, second, Mr. Blackman. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks.
Y'all come have a daiquiri on us.
Absolutely.
When you open it.
My wife's pushing Richard pretty hard for Halloween, so put on a costume and come see
I was
us.
hoping you were gonna say about 8 o'clock.
Yeah, me too.
We'll be there whenever y'all open.
Me and Mr. James are gonna come down and have a daiquiri.
Well, come see us, we'll give you one. I'll be out
Thank you, guys. Good luck.
All right, thank y'all.
All right, discussion of a possible tree permit fee to cover costs.
Yes, this was something that I'm not looking to do it on trees that are being trimmed. because we really don't do a site visit. But like, for example, the tree removals, maybe have like a $25 permit fee to cover the city's time going out, looking at the trees, fuel, paperwork, and then, of course, what the ladies have to do to actually get it on the agenda.
I didn't even know we didn't have a fee for it.
Yeah.
And just to go for a permit for trimming, it should be $25.
No, the trimming I'm not worried about, because a lot of times I don't have to go out and look at trimming, because we have a set standard 20% only, and not over a certain size. Take a picture before and a picture after, and we look at it. Just the removal's the only thing I have to go out for.
I think it's reasonable. That I was thinking about the tree on the branch, and I know Daryl visited that at least twice that I know of, and one time he spent an hour there talking to the developers. And so I think there should be some kind of remuneration to help us out with the cost of your time that's out there, people's time. $25 to remove a tree, I think is reasonable.
And the city's already got a budget that y'all put money into for tree maintenance. So this is just something that the city's getting back in return, that's coming out of the pocket of whoever's removing the tree.
Would that be a 25 per site, Mr. Ken? What if you have 4 trees? Is it still just 25? 25
Per site?
Per site.
Whatever y'all want, I would think per site.
Per site,
This would be works when you're on site, just one stop and cover all of it, so.
I'd say just one site.
And y'all, this is, I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but I'm pretty sure this would be an ordinance revision. It would be part of the permit application process, so I would need, to revise the ordinance. So just so you know, this would go into effect right now. I need to revise the ordinance.
All right, so we'll just make that motion to go ahead and authorize you to do it.
Correct.
All right, so is there a motion to authorize Nicole to
Amend the
amend the
ordinance.
ordinance to provide that $25 per site visit?
So moved.
All right, motion by Mr. Buchanan, second by Mr. Alderman. Any further discussion?
Can I suggest that it's per application?
For application? All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of site visit.
Mr. Ken, would you like to add that to your motion?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
Per application.
Per application.
Per application.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and that's a motion by Mr. Buchanan, second by Mr. Alderman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, we got general public comment. We've allotted 30 minutes total for this, and if anyone would like to address the board for a few minutes, you can come to the podium now.
I'm quite sure y'all remember who I am. I'm James Lewis, Canterbury Subdivision. Last time I was here, I talked to you about speeding 5 o'clock in the morning, till about 6:30 when the school opened them down on Old Spanish Trail, and it's still doing the same thing. They're driving like that's out of hell. I hug the sidewalk when I'm walking in the morning, and think I have to drop and roll. I got an embankment to roll down because it's very dangerous out there. They're not paying attention to it. They're just driving like they're on the Indianapolis bike on it. Now, I will compliment, I don't know if it was the sheriff's department or the city police that did pull a person over this past week. Because that's exactly what they were doing. And it's just dangerous out there. You got a person that's trying to walk, stay healthy. And one of our speed signs has already been taken out. It's just flat and has not been put back up. You got a section there between the sidewalks that they didn't go back in and complete. And on the west side, which is on the west side, the north side of the highway there, coming back towards the city, that's where it is. That sign is just flat, like a pancake.
And that's on Old Spanish Trail?
Old Spanish Trail. I want to jump to the subdivision Spanish Code. I know that we have 3 occupants now. Is that correct, Carolyn?
0 was not.
Probably 3, 4, yes.
Well, I know of 3 because I've met all 3 of them that are out there right now. And cement trucks are still delivering cement at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I don't know how that first family that moved in, go back in and deal with that. this morning, the fire truck was out there at 5 o'clock, parked in the church parking lot, pulling off sod to go back in and put it behind the house so it can go down. And that's a constant between 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. I don't know what time they're supposed to be working. But, and then you got the trucks that's coming in to go back in and deliver the dumpsters, and they're in there before 6 a.m. in the morning, making all that noise and wrecking. Also, that retention pond still does not have a fence around it. We've got 3 families in fact, that one family just closed today because Ricky did an outstanding job for them going back and doing an inspection of their house. And there were a lot of problems, and they had to go back in and fix the problems. But I talked to the family, they invited me in to see that lovely homeless out there, but there are problems with the development not doing what they're supposed to do. As well as people eating and just still throwing trash, and there's a dumpster right there. Doesn't make any sense. Thank you very much.
I'll work on some.
Chief, Mr. James, what's the worst time for the speeding when you're walking through there?
Between 5 and 5 a.m. in the morning. Sometimes I get out there at 5, but most of them are at 5:30. And all of a sudden, that's what's happening.
Can we get a little radar around at that time just to see if we can quell that one up? Thank you, sir.
You have to really be out there. You want to walk with me one morning?
I'll go there.
I'll go you on anything about
I just wanted to get a sense of the meeting as apropos of the governor's mask situation, you know, like what we do with it. And, I asked, called Chick this morning and said, look, it looks like things are going to be okay and there's not going to be any problems. You all okay for us? This is St. Alphonsus, and we're doing a march and a rosary. We got this idea from a large parish up in Wisconsin. They were very successful with it. And it's not political, it's not taking any kind of sides. It's like Christ said, we want you to go out into the streets, take what we believe out to the streets. And our country, as we all know, has been going through a lot of battering and bruising from all sides. And we just want to carry the host. We're the Catholic, we want the body of Christ, and we want to carry it through the streets, and we want to say a rosary while we're doing it. And we've had some very positive reactions. We have the Knights of Columbus. There are Jeff Ryan. He's said that they've reacted to it very positively. We had a lot of positive response from a lot of different places and some of the other parishes around. The bishop is aware of us. I don't know if he's going to be there that day, but you never know. This is basically being the business affairs of this are being conducted by the laity. We do have a deacon, Jim Gumpel. He's handling the religious aspect, if you will, and we're taking mostly care of the business. We presented this to you all earlier on. Got to go ahead and okay, and we have 2 police cars, 3 police officers, one of them on a motorcycle, 2 of them with police cars to keep an eye on things. And here, it passes around if you want to have a look at it. And pretty much it says it right there on the poster. So we're very, I would like to tell you, we're very grateful for the city, for the cooperation we've had, Chick working with us, and all of you really, and the police. It's been a very positive experience, and right now, we never know until we show up, and I was just personally a little concerned about the governor came out this morning with that proclamation about the mask, so I just wanted to, as I say, come here and make sure everything's okay, and Chick assured me that it is, so.
It's definitely okay, and it's more than okay. We're definitely happy to have the organization and everybody involved with this in the city. And thank you for doing it. I think this is something that's definitely needed at this time, and we're definitely on board. Happy to have it.
Oh, yeah, so, thank you, Mayor. You're invited to, anybody that feels so moved, please come down and join us. We're gonna lead on, this will be Sunday the 25th. We're gonna start assembling at 3 o'clock, and we plan to be marching by 3:15,
That AM or PM?
Yeah, that'll be PM.
PM.
Yeah,
So everyone, you're all invited. If anybody feels like they want to, please do come down and join us. And we're gonna be marching from St. Alphonsus parking lot there all the way down to the railroad station, and we'll take a ride on, what is the name of that?
We'll leave on Washington, we'll go down to Robinson. Down Robinson, then to Russell, we'll come back down, go to Porter, and then back to Washington, back to
Well, we'll go down to the restaurant, Sam's, Phoenicia. Then we'll come up from back, that road and turn there and go down Government. And just keep on marching all the way on Government towards Washington again. And we're going by the Whiskies, and there's gonna be a Saints football game going on that time too. So tell them they're aware of it. And Quincy is already a lot of merchants around. Right there, you see on the poster, we've got like the Cornerstone Group, is one of our sponsors, and St. Elizabeth Seton, Knights of Columbus, Quincy's Dugout, he's one of our sponsors. Phoenicia Gourmet is one of our sponsors. Potato Nuts, one of our sponsors. St. Alphonsus Knights of Columbus, as I said. So we'll be passing by all of those people, and so we want people to respond to us, and God's blessing on all of us.
I appreciate y'all bringing that up, Marco. I was gonna bring that up during Alderman's Forum. It was a 4th degree night. I'll be there in support of it as well.
Outstanding.
I think it's going to be really good in Ocean Springs. They've been really easy to work with, worked out all the details with Al Parker, and I think it's going to be really unique in Ocean Springs.
Chief, it's gonna be more of a rolling roadblock.
It'll be a rolling roadblock, which is, I don't imagine they'll walk too fast, but a lot of elderly people, what we're going to do, we're going to have a few golf carts just in case somebody can't walk the distance and we'll ride. And most of y'all have golf carts, so I would ask that y'all join us, Velvet, Ricky, and Lonnie, and you have one of those. Yeah.
Well, I think everybody definitely gonna make an effort to be down there. Yep, it's great to have, look forward to it, and, yeah, we'll be down there. Everybody, hope it's a good turnout.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
I just want to give you an update on cruising real quick. We had 6,778 cars that were registered. We had 400 that registered after the closing date, which meant that 400 additional people came with their cars, 400 additional cars. I think our businesses did pretty well. They were all telling me that on Thursday they had met their goal. So that was great. In spite of the weather, in spite of the COVID, we pushed right on and made it work. Listen, I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, we love Ocean Springs. And Lord, that is a direct relationship to you, people, because you're doing something right, because they love Ocean Springs. So I'm just telling you, it makes a difference when we have these events, and we try to go all out and make it right. But I want to tell you, there's one lady on this board that is a part of this board, and as a young lady right there, she really helped me this year, and I want to say thank you, City Clerk and Patty. But I just want to make sure now, Peter Anderson's coming, we've got the latest edict from the governor, we'll meet those requirements, we've already met them, our stuff has already been filed with him, and the only difference will be the spacing, which we will take care of if we have to. We're hoping that by that time, some of them will finish. But we'll meet whatever requirements they have, just to let y'all know.
We got a meeting on that tomorrow.
Right, 10 o'clock. I wish all of y'all could be.
Thank you, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
All right. We'll go to Alderman's Forum.
sub-county this time.
We had continued an issue from our last meeting to October 20th. I did not see it on the agenda, the YMCA and the Ryan Youth Center.
Yeah, we're still, thank you for bringing that up. So we're still, we're working on, in principle with them. I think we're going to be able to figure something out, but I think it's the desire to continue the agreement as of now. So, Nicole, what do we need to do? Do we need to make a motion to extend it?
Yeah, I mean, you need to extend it to whatever time period you're going to, if we're just going to the next meeting, but I mean, I feel like there needs to be some kind of discussion and put a new written agreement in place. So, I mean, as of today, yeah, because we don't have anything in writing, there needs to be a motion to do some kind of extension to the next meeting, but, somebody get with me before the next meeting to come up with how we're gonna revise the agreement.
I'll make that motion to extend the agreement with the YMCA for the Ryan Youth Center till the November 4th board meeting.
All right, motion, Mr. Henry.
I'll second it.
Second, Mr. Bellman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, well, we have some items for executive session. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to go to closed session.
All right, motion, Mr. Henry, second, Mr. Hoffman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Closed session. Everybody can go except Stephen.
And Carolyn.
Yes, Carolyn.
I work with the police. And I mean the outside out. So that's it. I don't need to.
All right, let's get this over with then. Get over with it.
There was a time where the meetings regularly, I mean, just, I don't know if this is what was going on, or technically like Bob,
Come back to me or Daryl will say, no, what they said.
it was like, no, stop, you don't realize that you can.
Good job.
That was.
When I get done, I'll come out and announce it.
So, I mean, there's only eight, and actually, it was mostly the public hearing,
Well,
and
she
it
likes
was
for
an
me to
all,
announce.
Okay,
Wait,
so you don't say anything? Get in trouble watching, texting me, you know. I
Does
had to-
anybody want any cake at all when I go back here? Because there's cake and cheesecake.
Don't tell me that, there's nothing back
There
there.
is, 'cause of-
I want a piece of cheesecake, I'm
No,
hungry.
no, no,
I want
no, no, no.
cheesecake, so I haven't had anything to eat all that.
No, 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 no. I gained weight just hearing of this Tuesday.
I was wrong, you did that, you did the paper show, they would claim.
Well, I went to the wedding this weekend, and I was not allowed to.
I just wanted to make sure. they
Indulge in
understood.
cheesecake
I
today.
cannot make that decision.
Because I was bad all weekend.
And that it's on their head. and it comes
The
to-
wedding, you had to, right? Willpower. Willpower. Actually, I know I've got your way down. I can't run because I inherited my dad's knees and my mother's scoliosis.
When I passed by on Sunday, it was still there. This past Saturday, and I meant to call you yesterday.
I get shins like.
Because it was just
Yeah, I get, well, my knees.
You'll get one for shoes and you'll go.
But see, it's not like my knees don't properly in the summer, it's some condition that I inherited from my dad, and they always hurt, and then I found out, and this is what happens when you get old too, is, I inherited my mother's scoliosis, so it's like the first three vertebrae are almost straight and fused, so that's why when I run, I always get headaches, because there's no curve, natural curve in my spine.
Yeah, I went shopping at your building, director brought the bottle. Got
No,
some
well,
sanitizer,
after
got
15
some masks,
work
got
on
some
them.
case of drinks.
Well, they
2-inch
ain't
fire hose.
No, I've been
Well,
following
nobody
for a
else
long
there,
time, but then
you got the hose?
50, everything's really
Yeah,
started
Ray was there,
going,
he comes in.
53, I'm like,
Yeah.
Hi,
Gotta be
Jim.
out there quick, I got a meeting at 11:30.
Listen,
What?
I'm gonna tell you something.
No.
I didn't say nothing, I didn't jump up there and say nothing. I'm gonna say it. That deal you had on there,
Which one?
don't reduce the size of the streets, for God's sake. Let me tell you why.
I have no comment.
Young Jack Benny that parks in the street, he can't get the fire truck back up. Because if they one like this and like that.
Get down there.
That's like, it's like I was telling somebody today.
I'm telling you, streets right now, we can't go down.
Yes, yes, you're still live.
Essentially,
You turn that off.
we're still
I
like,
will
not
not.
until they come out.
Yeah, Patty said I should come out.
Right, at this point,
Patty said.
we are the quantifiable entity, they are the qualifiable. So,
He can't get a, let me just say this to you, 10-foot wide easement is not really enough, and he's 12 foot. The tractors that he has, when he goes in there.
They done discussed all of
yes.
it.
He doesn't have enough to turn the thing around.
I wish they
My
would.
job is to put it through and let them make that
It
decision.
is right.
I wish they put the power and telephone behind the houses.
And that's what we're gonna try to work on in
That
the
would give us-
preliminary plan, is to get those details sorted out, and if they're not comfortable.
Okay. So I've got this bed, and everybody else is up, bringing out what's left. You'll have to all find over to change trade and see if
I didn't say anything.
Here's a 90, here's this, I'll put that definition.
Yeah.
Bring some
This
paper.
is the conversation.
Concrete from his property. Water, sewer. Chocolate cake, you know.
Yeah, that doesn't look good.
You don't have to do this, just go ahead and pull it. Pull the latch up.
You know, and that's one of the reasons the office don't have food service. That's what I was told was one of its main reasons. Actually, for all of them, if they were to be able to put one in that everyone could tie into, it would be worth it for them to invest. And even see if Fred would even go into it, it's gonna benefit him too, because he rents all of it.
Where does that other restaurant go into? They got a great shop right behind the building.
Which new one? The shrimp factory? Yeah, the shrimp factory's already set up for grease.
Yeah, and that was big enough to handle them all. It's big, and it would be bigger if you had to make it bigger. That's what I would do, for all of those. You know, why?
Yeah. That would open him up for people to wanna do more, will wanna lease it. And then, that's like offices, unless you're just gonna drink, you're not gonna go in there.
Well, that's something that Fred would be able to do since he owns that whole block.
You want to pass an ordinance, maybe do it.
That's them. I don't care about grease trap.
Yes, it's
Might
live.
drop a bug in their ear.
I can't go, I can't
Just
turn
say
it on.
that would open up. If I could. All right, man.
All right, yeah, I'll be there.
So y'all tomorrow 10, huh?
I'll be there.
I got a message, he's gonna check tomorrow, make sure I get the count.
See you tomorrow.
Yep.
No, we are still live streaming.
I'm just scared now, see.
Well, we'll take effect till tomorrow.
Yeah, I just.
No, I'm saying as far as.
Oh, Sadie.
Out of my mouth.
Oh, okay, I thought you.
Said it like 5 times.
Yeah, I ain't said that.
Me neither, I was gonna be quiet, not say nothing.
Just driving down
And I know how hard.
Who told you that?
Everybody that comes in here.
You've been pulled over.
That's what I'm saying, that house, them other thing might be something we interested
The
in.
condition it's in, it's not even.
We took that one down on COVID.
What did y'all do, charge it back to your taxes?
I don't know what they did.
That's a lot clearing, you know, it's whatever expenses goes to their taxes and on next year's.
The one on COVID was totally different.
Yeah, that was.
This here, they charge back to the taxes.
It looks like a jungle. I haven't seen it in a couple of years, but it's, I remember those discussions.
How's, 101 Linden?
I know, that's why we put them at 30, see, they used to be 35.
You go out there one day and it's spotless, the next day, he got it from every wagon,
I was looking at that, he really got a sheet of plywood now with some wheelchair wheels on it.
Yeah, but it takes a while for them to make a motion. I don't understand that.
I think it's been got pull a tree out.
Yeah, we need to put them out and say there's.
Might already did.
No, he just said they have to make a motion to, Patty has to make a motion. I know I have to say so.
That ordinance is what we have to go by.
I'm not. Get my stuff, otherwise I have my stuff ready.
You reckon in that?
Yeah, that's, Briscoe. LSU.
Captain Jackson. That's how he called it.
Captain Jackson.
Captain Jackson.
We should follow us.
I think we ought to just start walking.
I don't know that.
Everybody wanna buy golf.
Like, you think I would know that after working 3 days?
I was about to say.
Yeah, you used to Oh, yeah, but Patty's husband does live out.
Yeah, he's out of town.
I couldn't put up with it every night, so I'm trying to come in for a couple of days.
I have a friend of mine whose husband works like 2.5 months, you know, he's like oil, his oil rig, whatever, so he's like gone for, 12 weeks on and off unless he pulls a double, and he's gone for like 3 months, and she's like, that's how we have stayed married. Because it's like they have that time where it's hers, and then he comes home, he doesn't have to go to work, so he can rest, he's got his honey-do list, things get done, and then about the time that they might start doing this, he leaves again.
The other day, there was one, had like 15 cars behind it.
In our youth, that's the only way we stay.
Going to the golf store, by the park.
Why did they pull up?
You realize this is always something, I don't know, the entire state in one day. Where do we go?
Shopping, of course you do.
All right.
Because that wasn't really a question, was it?
A motion was made by Alderman Impey, seconded by Alderman Bellman. Oh, sorry, y'all, that was the one we did earlier. Never mind. Remember, you take that. Motion was made by Mike Impey, seconded by Alderman Ricky Alderman, and unanimously carried to remain in executive session for potential litigation regarding the inlet tax abatement. Okay, Ted, you can turn off the video.